The Roman Empire wasn't just a civilization, it was one of the most powerful forces in human history. It shaped our language, law, architecture, warfare, and the very idea of government. For over 1,000 years, the Eagle of Rome cast its shadow across the known world. But how did a small, unassuming city on the Italian peninsula rise to dominate continents, and then collapse under its own colossal weight? This is the epic story of the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. Rome's story begins around 753 BCE, shrouded in the legend of Romulus and Remus, twin brothers suckled by a she-wolf. But the real rise began when Rome cast off its kings and transformed into a republic. This wasn't just a change of leaders. It was a revolution in thinking. The Roman Republic introduced a groundbreaking system of elected officials, checks and balances, and citizen participation ideas that still echo in modern democracies today. Through a brilliant mix of diplomacy, strategic alliances, and relentless military discipline, Rome began to expand. It methodically conquered its neighbors across the Italian peninsula. Every victory brought new land, new soldiers to fill its legions, and new wealth to fuel its ambition. The small city was becoming a regional power. Rome's expansion truly exploded after its legendary clash with Carthage in the Punic Wars. This was a struggle for the soul of the Mediterranean. The Carthaginian general, Hannibal, became a figure of nightmare for Rome, famously crossing the treacherous Alps with an army and war elephants. His military genius brought Rome to its knees, but Rome refused to break. In the end, through sheer resilience and strategic brilliance, Rome won. The complete destruction of Carthage left no doubt. Rome was now the undisputed master of the Mediterranean. With this newfound dominance came unimaginable resources. Grain flowed from Egypt, silver was mined in Spain, and trade routes stretched like a spider's web across Europe, Africa, and Asia. Rome became an unstoppable force. Its legions were unmatched on the battlefield. Its engineering was revolutionary, building aqueducts and roads that endure to this day, and its culture began to spread everywhere it conquered. But the republic that had built this empire couldn't sustain it. The vast influx of wealth led to rampant corruption, staggering inequality, and constant political chaos. The system fractured, and into this power vacuum stepped one of history's most iconic figures, Julius Caesar. His military genius, political ambition, and eventual assassination marked the bloody end of the Republic. From the ashes of civil war, his adopted son, Octavian, emerged. After defeating his rivals, he took the name Augustus and became Rome's very first emperor. Under Augustus, the chaos subsided, and Rome entered the Pax Romana, an unprecedented 200-year period of peace and prosperity. It was an age of incredible achievement. New roads connected the vast empire. Magnificent aqueducts brought fresh water to sprawling cities, and grand monuments were built to glorify Rome's power. Trade flourished, and the population soared. Rome was at its absolute peak, a golden empire shining across the world. During this golden age, emperors like Trajan, Hadrian, and the philosopher King Marcus Aurelius expanded and stabilized the empire. At its height, Rome stretched from the misty shores of Britain to the deserts of the Middle East, a staggering 2 million square miles. Its laws, language, and culture influenced everything and everyone it touched. But even at its most brilliant, beneath the gleaming marble surface, deep cracks were forming. The empire had simply become too large to manage effectively from a single capital. The massive military required to defend its sprawling borders was incredibly expensive to maintain, straining the treasury. Vicious political power struggles became a constant feature of imperial life, with emperors often rising and falling by the sword, and the gap between the ultra-rich elite and the impoverished masses grew ever wider. The Golden Age was magnificent, but it was also incredibly fragile. By the 3rd century, that fragility turned into a full-blown crisis. Rome was hammered by one disaster after another. Brutal civil wars erupted as generals fought for the throne, leading to a parade of weak and short-lived emperors. At the same time, barbarian invasions on the frontiers drained the empire's strength and resources. Within the empire, the economy was in a tailspin. runaway inflation made currency worthless. Trade routes that were once the lifeblood of the empire became dangerous and slowed to a trickle. To make matters worse, devastating plagues swept through the population, killing millions and crippling society. In a desperate attempt to save the empire from total collapse, Emperor Diocletian made a radical decision. He split the empire into two halves, an Eastern and a Western Roman Empire, each with its own ruler. It was a bold move that worked temporarily, but it also formalized a division that would ultimately make Rome weaker in the long run. The Western Roman Empire, with its capital in Italy, faced constant, overwhelming pressure. Migrating and invading groups, the Visigoths, the Vandals, the Huns led by the fearsome Attila, pushed relentlessly against its borders. The legions, once invincible, were now overstretched and exhausted. In the year 410 CE, the unthinkable happened. The city of Rome was sacked by the Visigoths, the first time it had been breached in 800 years. The psychological shock was immense. The decline accelerated until 476 CE, when the last Western Roman emperor, a young boy ironically named Romulus Augustulus, was quietly overthrown by a Germanic chieftain. With that, the Western Roman Empire was gone. But this wasn't the total end of Rome. The Eastern Empire, centered on the magnificent city of Constantinople, would survive and thrive as the Byzantine Empire for nearly another 1,000 years, preserving Roman culture and knowledge. Even after its dramatic fall, the ghost of Rome never truly disappeared. Its influence is all around us. Roman law formed the bedrock of many modern legal systems across Europe and the world. The incredible roads, bridges, and aqueducts they built became blueprints for modern infrastructure. Their language, Latin, didn't die. It evolved, becoming the mother of Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian, the Romance languages. And most importantly, Rome's ideas about republican government, citizenship, law, and individual rights continue to guide and inspire nations today. The Roman Empire may have fallen, but its legacy is immortal. It built the world we live in. The Roman Empire rose through discipline, innovation, and boundless ambition, and it fell through division, corruption, and the crushing weight of overextension. Its story is a powerful lesson in both the heights humanity can achieve and the fragility of even the greatest empires. But its impact remains one of the greatest, most influential stories in all of human history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the ancient world, make sure to follow for more epic stories from history. Thanks for watching.